Swings along the way, down 12.5% just today. For more on the private market approach, we are joined by Destiny founder and CEO Sohail Prasad. Sohail, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Just to be clear, this is not an ETF. This is a closed-end fund. So once you invest, you're in, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. In terms of how the stock has been trading or how the fund has been trading, as we mentioned, astronomical gains. But the value of the underlying assets is under $53 million as of December. Should it be trading here at such a premium?
Yeah, what we've seen is it's kind of become a cultural moment. These are companies that any other time in history would have been public companies, but over the last 10, 15 years are remaining as private companies. And so people have thought about different ways to access these companies, and there's never been a liquid, transparent way to do so. So that's been driving a lot of interest that we've seen across the market.
So that froth, that premium, whatever you want to call it, that's because of the scarcity value of this.
I think the market is still discovering it. Most people haven't heard about Destiny yet. And right now there's people being like, wow, I can finally access these companies that I know and love and hear about every single day.
Give us a sense, because we could go to Stripe. I mean, these are companies that have been around a long time. They've been in the private markets. Most of us who've been in the markets for a while, you would have expected these companies to come public. What was the moment? Was there a light bulb that went off or something in your head saying that this is going to be a trend that continues for a while? Yeah,
it was 5 years ago, actually. I was 25. My dad finally asked me, what should I invest in? And I told him, I don't know, SPY or QQQ. But it really made me think about why wasn't there an SPY or QQQ for private tech? I founded the largest secondary market for private shares, but that only touches a very small fraction of the world. And so that's what we set up to build, is something that anyone can access from their brokerage account that invests in these companies that shape the future of every industry as we know it.
So let me ask you have the NAV of 484. Is that NAV what you paid for those stakes to put into this?
We mark...
Or what? How do you determine that?
Yeah, we mark our NAV quarterly, and we have an independent firm that assists us in kind of valuing the portfolio on a fair value basis.
Talk about portfolio construction, and again, we all know what Qs are, we know what SPYs are. They are, the market cap weighted. How do you think about construction? How do you think about number of positions? And I assume there's not a liquidity mismatch because of the closed-end nature of the fund, but someone that's run a hedge fund, the biggest thing investors usually say is, they've got this liquidity, but I see these assets. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we decided to list this, we had a decision to make. Are we going to list with 0 companies? Are we going to wait until we go to our target of 100? We decided we would start with the first 20 to 25, in our case, 23. And we then went forward and listed this publicly. So the rest of our building is going to happen in public as we expand the portfolio over time.
How did you determine, is there a committee that selects the companies that are in this?
Yeah, so the big challenge in the private markets is there's not enough liquidity on a day-to-day basis in the underlying. So what we actually do is we go forward and we say, okay, we publish on our website the eligibility and inclusion criteria. We then go and say, these are the metrics that we look at for companies. And that is something that people can look at and see how we think about investing. Over time, because we have the transparency of a public fund, they'll be able to see these are the positions, this is how it's evolved, and then make their own view as to the fair value of the fund.
It sounds like there's going to be a tremendous lag, though, in terms of determining the value of the underlying assets and having the investor actually know what that's worth.
But one of the nice things about being traded on the NYSE is that every single day the public is determining what the value is that they're willing to pay today.